Jenna sighed as she carried the last moving box through the front door of her family's new home. It had been a long day shuttling between the old and new houses. Now finally settled in the quiet suburb, she was ready to collapse into bed. Through the windows, the neighborhood looked pleasantly normal as dusk fell. A familiar routine hummed behind other doors, children playing, dinner cooking, evening TV flickering. Jenna felt relief that her young daughters, Emma and Ava, would grow up somewhere safer than the city. In the morning, Jenna set out to meet the neighbors. Next door, a smiling man named Gavin answered. "My brother Seth and I just bought the place." Good to have friendly faces nearby. Seth seemed more reserved, but the brothers insisted on helping settle in, bringing over home-baked bread as a housewarming gift. Jenna thanked them, pleased by such kindness. Over the following weeks, Gavin frequently stopped by with little favors or inquiries. He always had time to chat. Jenna found his concern for her family touching. Still, she sensed tension between the brothers she couldn't place. One night, as Jenna tucked the girls in, raised voices carried through the wall. She heard a crash and scuffling, then silence. Anxious, she considered knocking to check on them, but not wanting to intrude, she decided to wait and see if it continued. The next afternoon, Gavin appeared distraught. "Sorry about the racket last night."
Seth had too much to drink and got a bit rough.
"He's not so good with his liquor." An awkward family dispute, Jenna assumed. That weekend, Jenna met Claire from across the street while walking the dog. Claire was cheerful, yet admitted feeling uneasy about the new neighbors. "They keep odd hours. Lights stay on all night sometimes." Jenna dismissed her concerns, finding Claire overcautious. But little things started to seem off about Gavin and Seth. They never had visitors or left the property. Strange smells drifted from their yard at times, like something was burning. One evening, Jenna sat on the porch enjoying the cool air. Through the hedge, she saw Gavin emerge from the dark with Seth stumbling behind. Blood stained Seth's clothing, though he showed no wounds. Jenna froze, unsure what to make of the unsettling scene. The final puzzle piece snapped into place a few nights later. Jenna awoke to retching noises outside. Peeking through the blinds, her blood ran cold at the horrible tableau illuminated by security lights. Gavin had Seth pinned down, savagely ripping at his flesh with teeth and nails. The brothers rolled in visceral combat, yet Gavin's strength overpowered Seth's weak struggles. Jenna clasped a hand to her mouth to stifle a scream. Whatever had taken hold of her neighbors was beyond any madness she had witnessed. Shaking, Jenna dialed 911. "There's been an attack. Please hurry. I think he's killing him." She bolted the doors and windows, gathering the children close as agonized howls grew louder each second the police failed to arrive. When help finally came, it was too late for Seth. What evil had found shelter between these very walls, and could their family ever feel truly safe again? Next story. She lay still as death, barely daring to breathe. Only the slightest rise and fall of her chest betrayed that any life remained at all. Her eyes, accustomed now to the near pitch black, scanned the cold cellar floor for any sign of movement. There, a shadow shifted. A scrap of cloth caught the barest glint of pale moonlight filtering through tiny high windows. She waited, heart pounding, as slow, deliberate footsteps approached. A creak of rotting wood, and the shadow knelt before her, mere inches between them now. A face loomed into view, backlit and featureless, but for twin points of silver reflecting the meager glow. Eyes watching, assessing. A thin hand reached out to caress her cheek in a parody of tenderness. "Such a lovely thing," the soft voice whispered. "You'll make a fine addition." A face emerged into the light then, and she stifled a gasp. Unassuming, almost kind, was the visage of the monster bent over her. Unremarkable brown hair, mundane glasses perched on an average nose, lips curved slightly in what might pass for a gentle smile on any other countenance. But she saw past the facade now, into the abyss that lurked beneath, and shuddered. "Please," she croaked through the parched throat, knowing it futile but unable to simply accept her fate in silence. "I have a family. They'll search for me," a low chuckle answered, devoid of humor. "Ah, but they'll never find you here. And your family will suffer no more. I promise your passing will be swift and painless." He straightened suddenly, glancing toward the rickety stairs. Muffled thumps and bumps carried down from above, and his placid smile tightened faintly. "It seems our time grows short. I do so regret we cannot become better acquainted first. But fear not, you will find your place among my collection soon enough." With that, he melted back into the shadows, footsteps receding toward some inner sanctum she dreaded glimpsing. She strained again, at bindings long since rubbed raw to no avail. What fate awaited beyond that final door? Her mind reeled back through fragments of memory, piecing together a nightmare made chillingly real. A mundane Tuesday afternoon, errands in town, passing a nondescript man on the sidewalk whom she'd never glance at twice. And later, woke here in hell with no clear memory. How long had he watched her, planned, and waited to make his move? How many others came before, whose names and faces now dwelled only in his memories? Somewhere in the labyrinthine cellar, footsteps approached, not his cautious tread this time. Louder, more urgent, accompanied by angry male voices. Had someone finally caught wind of the horror festering in this deceptively normal home? She tried to scream, summon help to her terrible plight, but merely choked on dust. The voices neared, and a narrow beam of electric light stabbed the darkness. Two silhouettes materialized at the foot of twisting stairs, torch beams sweeping frantically. "Search every corner," a gruff voice commanded. "The sick bastard's got to be down here somewhere." Hope flared anew in her breast as slow, meticulous circles brought the light gradually toward her prone form. At last it found her, and a startled gasp issued from shadows. "Holy shit, call it in. We got a live one over here." Rough hands grasped her shoulders, fingers probing for injuries as a walkie crackled. "Suspect still at large, requesting immediate medical assistance." "We got a woman down here who needs help, and fast." The rescue had come, but at what cost? And where had her captor fled in the chaos? As darkness closed once more over grasping consciousness, a final thought chilled her fading mind. How long before another like her went missing to join his nameless collection? The man watched pensively from deep within the untamed trees bordering the property. Flashing lights approached, spilling over rutted drive to pulse against the farmhouse in eerie staccato. A perfect tableau, almost picturesque if one ignored the chaos unfolding. But then, isn't all art born of some darkness? He waited serenely for the intruders to depart, taking their rescued prize back into the uncaring world from whence she came. Pity. He'd grown so fond of watching her fight the inevitable with diminishing spark. Another piece was lost from his collection before properly placed. No matter. There were always more, and the game had grown ever so enjoyable. Once silence fell again, broken only by loons calling softly across the moonlit lake. He slipped from concealment and picked his careful way toward the old barn. Safe within shadowed stalls, still redolent with long-decayed feed and manure, a workbench stretched long and wide. Here, he kept his tools, his mementos, the remains of those no longer gracing his personal gallery walls. Selecting pliers from neat racks, he untied the latest addition to his altarpiece. Ropey scar tissue and imperfect sutures traced where leathery flesh had been clumsily reattached over empty cavities. The eyes, always haunting him in full awareness now, glared with impotent fury as he lifted one gnarled hand to examine. Yes, this one had fought gloriously against his will and would serve as inspiration for decades hence. Beauty could not exist without first understanding the depths of human depravity. A wicked twist and fingers popped free one by one to join the modest collection already organized on stained wood. He hummed softly as he worked, perfectly content, taking his time to savor each intimate moment of artistic communion. When at last only jagged bone stumps remained and his canvas lay empty once more, satisfaction warmed his veins like fine wine. Another masterpiece completed, ready in turn to inspire others down the line. And somewhere out there, in the wide world, another lost soul awaited redemption through his gifted hands. One could only hope they put up as good a struggle as this latest exhibit. With work done here and dawn imminent, he turned tired steps toward his empty home, already dreaming of the hunt to find and fill that final empty space. His collection would never fully be finished until all traces of human frailty and folly lay preserved forever more under his discerning eye. Such was his duty, his destiny, his calling from whatever powers watched benignly from afar. The collector's work was just beginning.